Hello everyone, welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with me, Anne Welsh. Today's guest is one person I've known. She's special. I really met her last year actually. And she's someone who's just so fascinating from her story. She captures these stories sometimes, just when she talks to you. She's a photographer. Her images will captivate you when you look at what she does. She does portrait, fashion, and lifestyle kind of photography. Hey, hello, how are you?
I'm good. Long time no see.
Well, welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with me, Anne Welsh. And I didn't want to say much about you. I wanted you to introduce yourself. But the one thing I did say at the introduction before I admitted you on here was that you are someone that fascinates me. And you just fascinate me from your stories. And also from the way you capture your pictures. I think your pictures tells a story. I remember when we met, when you were taking pictures and you said to me, stand this way, and I'm like, this is very unusual. I'm in the fashion industry, and just the way you just don't take pictures, but you want something to be told through your pictures. When someone sees your pictures, really tells a good story. I would like you to just briefly introduce yourself to the audience who are going to be watching us today.
Hi, I'm Dawn Collins. I'm kind of new to the photography game, really. I sort of started about 4 years ago.
Wow.
Beforehand, I've been an interior designer for 20 years or more. I've always had the creative genes, I suppose. I loved art, and I was a dancer at school, and just always kind of that way inclined. But had always fallen into the things that I was doing rather than really choosing to do them. So I got diagnosed. The reason I got into photography was because I was diagnosed with these health conditions that I think we're going to talk about. And I was diagnosed late in life. Even though it's something you're born with, it can manifest in different ways. And I was diagnosed at the age of 30 something.
Oh wow.
Try not to give my age away. But no, I was diagnosed only about 5-6 years ago. And the first diagnosis was bad enough, and it put me into this sort of time of grieving for me, essentially. I grieved for the person that I was, and basically what they were telling me I wasn't therefore able to carry on being. Like, there were things that I was finding myself unable to do. And so I was in a really dark space, and then I was finding out it kind of carried on because the condition that I have, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, has a lot of other conditions that are related to it, which come on as a consequence, if you like, of that EDS. And I just kind of had the final straw about this. It was October, about 4 years ago. And I was in one of my worst times at the time. I was you go through kind of like a grieving process like you do for losing somebody in death. And I was in the phase where I was so angry at everything, angry at the way my life had gone, all the things that had happened to me, and yet I'd always done things to help other people out. I've always felt essentially that I'm a decent, good person, and then this other thing was thrown at me, and it wasn't the first big thing to be thrown at me, and I just thought, how much more? How much more is going to be thrown at me, and can I actually take any more? I'm facing a life with chronic pain. There is no cure for it. the drugs that I'd been trying weren't helping, and there is no real drug for it anyway. And can I really face the rest of my life just, you know, slowly getting worse and worse with this? So this other thing was told about my health, where I have POTS as well, which is a tachycardia syndrome, which means my heart rate's very high. It means I have to be very careful about the kind of exercise I take on and the things I do. And it kind of states that I have a shorter lifespan because of it, however long that might be, you know, how long's a piece of string at the end of the day. But it was kind of the thing that got me thinking in this October when I was told this, that I just, right, I'm going to give myself to New Year's Eve. I was in such a dark space. It was a case of, you know, do I end things, or do I reevaluate my whole life and think, no, I'm going to live this? And obviously I chose that I'm going to live this life and make the best of it. And I had, you know, at the time I still obviously have three children, and I didn't want them to see a woman give up. I didn't want them to think of me as a weak person. I wanted them to think of their mum as someone who was strong and determined. And that's definitely something I would call myself, as determined. I've always had that kind of outlook on life.
Yeah, no, what fascinates me when we first met was immediately I told you my story. We gravitate towards each other, I think, because we both suffer from invisible illnesses, which we've been struggling to communicate to people all this while. And just when you meet someone else who has something similar and the person kind of understands you, you're like, oh gosh, this is much an easier process. I don't need to say too much. This person just understands me. I think that warmed my heart. But before I go to, because I know this platform is all about overcoming pain and everything, I wanted to tell people a little bit about your photography, because I find them a little bit more fascinating. I love the images you do. And, you know, if anyone goes to your Instagram page, you will see lots of interesting pictures. And I wanted to know what got you into that side of portrait pictures, and how did you get into that male models and stuff? How did you get into that side of modeling?
It's do you know, I've always taken pictures, and I never really thought anything of it. And although, you know, people in my family have told me to pursue it years ago, and I never really thought there was an avenue there. You know, when I went to school, it was all very much about the desk job, about the intellectual, the academic side of things. It was never about growing with your creativity. And so I never followed that path. But when I looked at life and everything, I needed something that was going to help me mentally to be able to cope with the physical side of my condition. And so I've always taken pictures, and when you have children, you find yourself taking even more pictures. And I was just doing that more and more, and I was finding whenever anyone took a picture of me, it was always rubbish. And I was like, why do they find it so hard to take a good picture of me when I'm taking great pictures of them? And they just kind of convinced me that actually you're quite good at this. So, and for me, you know, to look at a picture, it's capturing a moment it's capturing a memory, something that it's not it doesn't have to be invisible. It's a memory that you can capture in a still that you can remember for the rest of your life. And I think that's so important. I think memories is what life is all about. And when you look at a picture, if you don't feel anything from it, if there's nothing that connects with you, then there's no point in taking it. So I think that's what I like about it. You know, the process that I was most nervous about, because I've really stepped outside of my comfort zone for all of my photography stuff. You know, I was scared to get on a train and go into London on my own, that kind of thing. I would never have done that 5 years ago. So to actually shoot one-on-one with somebody from a different country potentially that I'd never met before was really alien to me, but it's actually getting to know those people that I really love, and in doing that, I think that and because I have, like you noticed, I think when you suffer so much in life, doesn't matter what kind of thing it might be from, but I've had several things, it's made me a real empath. I'm a real empathetic person, and I really pick up on feelings and emotions, and seemingly I can draw that out of people as well.
Yeah.
I've had male photographers tell me that you can tell that I'm a female photographer, because of the feeling that I suppose emanates from the pictures I take. There's a slight softness there, and probably the conversations that I'm having with the people at the time.
That brings that comfort, because I love taking pictures, and one of the things I find, when you have a relation, like when you could connect with that person who's taking the pictures of you, I think it's just easy to smile. It's just not work anymore. It's almost like you're laughing with them, and you're laughing with you, and I find it much easier that way. So I enjoy that process.
For sure. I mean, I often have a brand new model in front of my camera, and they become very stiff because they think they've got to pose.
Yeah.
Yes, of course they have got to pose, but if there's no feeling or connection in it, it doesn't translate onto the camera at all and into the picture. So yeah, it is definitely a really good thing to be able to get people to relax, and I think because of the situations I've had throughout my life, I think that's helped me do that. I hope that's helped me do that.
I love your quotes on your tagline on Instagram, which just talks about huge-hearted, stay true to myself and enjoying the process. So how are you doing that? How would you, because I went on the page, it's like, oh, okay, how would I describe someone who's doing that? How would you, if I read this tagline, I'm thinking, okay, how can I stay true to myself and enjoy the process? What advice would you give someone who wants to know?
I think sort of touching on this whole isolation situation that we're finding ourselves in, we've all got a lot of time to think about who we are, who we've become, where we want to go with that. And I think when you're someone that's had to go through learning how to live with a health condition and pain in particular, I think you do that a lot anyway. And I was bullied a lot at school. I've got, things that happened to me in childhood that aren't pretty. And I think you're either a sort of person that repeats history, so you become those horrible people, or you make the decision to not become that person. And so I think, everyone has choices in life to make, and it's down to us individually to make sure that we look at ourselves properly and make the choices that are right for us and that feel right deep down. It needs to be a gut instinct and a heartfelt thing. And I just like to feel real. I just want to be me. It's the one thing that I think I have that's quite unique. I think a lot of people live life to please. Well, no, I've lived life to please others a lot of my time, but to actually, I don't know how to. It's really hard to word, actually.
But it's really meaningful. I think even my sisters and my family read this and like, this is really good, because it's at this time in life, nothing will beat the sunshine. Like if you stay true to yourself, no matter what you're going through, this will bring out the true sunlight in you. You just have to be true to it. And
I think, but with being true to yourself, you have to recognize that there's darkness in you as well.
That's what I'm saying. And a lot of darkness, but you just have to not stay in the darkness when there's sunny days. You can still be sunshine, enjoy the sun, even though you're still in darkness. But when the sun comes out, you go out and enjoy the sun. I think that's really how I define my staying true to myself, because that is honestly, it's right now people need that. They need to stay true to themselves, or else you could lose yourself through this whole COVID-19 process. You're not quite sure how to take what's going to happen with the economy, what's going to happen with families, what's going to happen with a lot of things. But if you stay true to yourself, the process will seem easy to handle. Whatever.
I think you're right, because I think if everyone looks at everything as, none of us can help everybody.
No.
But we can all help somebody or someone.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, if everyone can help just one person, and that pays itself forward, there's that ripple effect from that. And I think if you're true to yourself and you're a good person with that, you can help so many people in so many ways, even if it's just by changing somebody's perspective on an idea. We all have to. It doesn't. There's so many forms of adversity out there. I'm dealing with my daughter having cancer as well at the moment, so and to try and lift her every day, and she's got over 2 years worth of treatment to go. We've just hit the 1 year mark, and something I say to her every day, well, not every day, but something I keep reminding her is we just got to deal with one day at a time. If we keep looking forward too much, you're never going to make it. We can't keep looking so much to the future. We have to concentrate on the here and now and make the most of that. And then each day just gets a little bit easier that way.
So on that note, because if we're talking about people going through, with COVID-19, people are going to go through pain. It doesn't matter who you are. In one way or the other, your life will be affected by this COVID-19, either by you staying at home, not being able to do the normal things you normally do, or by you losing your job, or losing a loved one, or by you even getting divorced from this whole process of being isolated at home with your loved one.
Yeah.
Chronic illness could also get worse, because a lot of people are not able to go to hospital. You have lived through the pain, both yourself, and I see you've also mentioned your daughter. When you first got these two news, because any people dealing with these things don't know how to. We know how to, because we've lived it for a very long time. It's not like someone came in March or 8 February, whenever it started to say, oh, and you can't do this. This is our life. Some days we miss 6 months, some days we miss a year, we're never quite sure. When you first got the news about your illness and your daughter's one, how did you take it? And the next question will really be about, how did you and your daughter start finding joy in this process?
Yeah, that's
people need to know.
Question. It's because it's difficult, and actually, I don't think any of us should take away from how difficult it is. And I think you have to allow yourself to not be okay sometimes. It is okay not to be okay, and there's definitely going to be days that aren't great, and you're going to be a bit more emotional than other times. But it's a very different perspective when you're dealing with it for yourself as to when you're dealing with it for your child. Obviously, there's a lot of emotional people around you, and you at the end of the day, somebody's got to be the tougher one.
Yes.
But you definitely need to take it just one day at a time. You really do need to be super present in the moment, because looking ahead can actually just floor you, I think.
Yeah, I found it consumed me when I tried to make plans, because then most of the time my plans were never met, because probably I would get sick again.
Yeah.
And then I get frustrated again. Then you get really mad with the whole world. You're like, why is the world causing you? What have you done to the world? But you don't realize, because you're trying to take things too far and not giving yourself time to actually recover and heal from what has just happened to you. So I feel where you're coming from, that it's not about us saying to ourselves that we want to look far ahead. I'll start planning for 2021. Because I've said to some people, you might start planning far for 2021. What if there's a relapse? We haven't found the vaccination yet. There might be a really bad relapse, right? Because we're used to this. We know what the consequences of actions of these kind of things can be. They might have a relapse. Then what happens? Then that will actually put a lot of people down. But if you have it in your mind that that can happen, I don't know. It just.
I think you just, I mean, everything, when you look ahead, things can become so overwhelming.
Yes.
So if you try not to do that, try not to watch the news too much, try not to get too absorbed with what everyone's saying, because there's a lot of scaremongering out there. There's a lot of people that latch on to one particular point in things, and it can become very disorientating, I think, when you look at it like that. I think you really do have to just stick with the day, and be a yes person, say yes to all the plans. If people, I mean, I don't tend to plan that much ahead, because I think, like, you get used to the fact that actually it often gets let down, and it doesn't come off. But if you can just be a yes person, but it's on the understanding that we just might not be able to, but just remain in the day as much as you possibly can.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, we're almost at the end of this, but I just wanted your last message of hope to people dealing with pain right now. I know we've touched on it by a few messages you said, but the lockdown is easing up soon, and it started on June 1st. I think the Prime Minister said a few key words that it might ease down soon. What would you say to...
I think be cautious, because I don't think the lockdown should be easing up quite as quickly as perhaps everyone wants it to. I think when you are dealing with pain and any kind of situations like that, you just have to be really conscious of yourself and what you're dealing with. And you need to definitely focus on something that gives you a lot of pleasure, something that really helps you to be mentally strong to cope with everything else.
Yeah.
So that's why I turned to my photography, and that's why I've started a project that's enabled me to keep creative throughout this lockdown, because sitting at home twiddling my thumbs will just eventually mean that I'll be thinking and focusing on my pain way more than anything else. So you have to just, you have to have some kind of structure in place and really find something that you love to do.
And how is your daughter right now? How is she keeping on all of this?
It's hard for her. She's obviously, it was a year on the 1st of May. So, and she's still got over a year of treatment still to go. And of course now some of it's been delayed because of COVID. So she knows that she's got a bit of a longer journey than the other children and stuff. And she'd only just started going back to school this year, before the lockdown happened. I mean, at least this time she does have her brother and sister at home with her, so she's got a bit more entertainment going on. And she knows that all of her school friends are also at home, so she's not necessarily missing out so much. But when they go back, she won't be able to. And that's definitely, I've just started to see that creeping into her mindset, and she knows that she's going to be missing out again. So it is tough, but I mean, I think, again, any kind of adversity, there's always a silver lining to it. There's always something that you can find that's positive from it. And she went into having cancer with one of the biggest hearts you'll ever see in a 9-year-old. But when she comes out the other side, she'll have an even bigger heart, and she's such an inspiration to so many people. She's got her own little Instagram page, and we talk about all of the positives and we do touch on the things that aren't so great, because you have to keep it real. It is real.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, you know, it's okay not to be okay sometimes, and you have to recognize that you have to just be easy on yourself and allow yourself to have those bad days.
Yeah.
Just recognize it's not going to be forever. Nothing bad lasts forever.
No, it's true. I think that's what I love about the whole process of with invisible and chronic illness, is that we have lots of bad days, and I won't pretend to anyone that it's easy on us. But at the same time, once we kind of have good people around us, for me, good people around me matters. And I think that's what your daughter will find right now, having her siblings around. It makes a huge difference and makes you happy. But with the system, have you found the system quite helpful? Because I think if other people are going through similar things and they don't know what to do, have you found help in the system? Because I've told you, my university days, I always found help when I found there was this disability schemes that help people with illnesses to get by at university. Have you found any system in place that will help you, that you could advise any other person who's going through similar things?
With EDS, there are definitely a few help groups and things like that. I mean, it's on the register of rare diseases, so a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of GPs don't understand it, and because it affects so much, it affects every part of your body, organs, bone structure, you know, joints, everything. There's no one person you can go to, so it is a massively long process. I can't pretend it's not. It's definitely not easy. I can't pretend that it is. But there are people out there that do know about it and can definitely advise. And, you know, anyone that's in the situation with EDS, I think most of us are more than willing to talk to anybody and give advice and help on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because there's not a lot of funding behind it. So, but there's help groups always. It depends. I think, you know, it depends on your personality as to whether or not that kind of thing will help you. But you won't know unless you try it at the end of the day. And that's, I think when you're in a situation like this, you've got to try everything just to work out what bits you need to take from each section.
Yeah, it's very, very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
When my sickle cell was first diagnosed, it wasn't very out there.
Yeah.
So you had to look in little bits and places all over the place and to find the right help. So it's difficult, but I think if you just keep looking, and eventually you find what works for you.
That's true. I mean, we're all individuals at the end of the day, you know, and it is a lot down to your attitude towards these kinds of things, you know. Mm-hmm. I think if you're a determined person and you want to prove that you can still be strong regardless, then you're gonna need a different kind of support than somebody that isn't as determined.
Yes.
So it's all very personal. It's all very individual. But I think that the bottom line is that if you can try and work out who you are, and that it comes down to that being true to yourself, is if you know who you are and you know what you want out of life, and you can just concentrate day by day on that. Know full well that you're going to have bad days and that you can allow yourself to have them, but equally, you know, make steps towards your goals. Yeah. If you're doing something that makes you happy and you want to get to a certain place with it, that's going to keep you going no matter what.
That's true. I love this. I'm so grateful, Dawn, that you were able to join me today for this conversation.
Thanks for asking me.
It means the world to me, because I think when I tell the story just by myself, people will understand, but more they hear other people's own story, I think they're like, okay, this is really interesting and also fascinating to hear how others deals with it. Your story is one that I've always found very fascinating and very inspiring. I found it inspiring the very first day we met. Then the photography side of you, which is I would encourage anyone who's out there to definitely hit you up, because you should. Your photos are amazing, and you really bring out the smile in a person. So even if this person is really tired and don't feel like doing a picture that day, you know how to bring out that smile. Thank you so much, and give my love to your kids, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this isolation process.
Yeah.
And we'll get to meet again very soon.
I hope so. Yeah, missing you.
I miss you. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.